What's up, everybody? I'm John Middlekauff. You know what I need you to do. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got content for days reacting to every NFL game all the time, every single day. Subscribe, like the videos. Let's go. What is going on, everybody? How are we doing? Hopefully everyone is having a beautiful week one of college football. We are, I think, less than 10 days away from the National Football League. So football is in the air. You can smell it in the air. Well, I just smell the ocean in my ties, but maybe you can wherever you are. But obviously it's right around the corner. So what we did is on Friday, I recorded a podcast with Derek Brown. He's one of the members of Fantasy Pros, one of our podcasts at The Volume. And until these guys partnered with The Volume, I didn't know that much about them. They are a behemoth. They are a absolute monster. The number one audio fantasy podcast in, I was going to say America, but the world. Definitely on the sports section, wherever you go, Spotify, Apple, wherever you may listen. This guy knows his stuff. So we just kind of rattled off. I gave him some of my takes on, some overhyped guys, some underhyped guys, just some different thoughts on players throughout the league. And I mean, this guy breaks it down in depth. I mean, they do daily shows when it comes to fantasy football. So Derek Brown, Fantasy Pros, that will be the show today. I know we had some stuff. Amari Cooper signed with the Raiders. Talk about, I remember when the Raiders drafted Amari Cooper over Leonard Williams, Reggie McKenzie, once upon a time. That feels like a lifetime ago. Trey Hendrickson, some of those guys. So we got some, Terry McLaurin. It was all inevitable these guys were going to sign. Now they can put on pads and start practicing with their team. Micah Parsons, who the hell knows whenever that situation is going to sort itself out. But we'll have a podcast later this week to kind of discuss some of that. But today will be Derek Brown from Fantasy Pros, so go check that out. But before we dive in, I got to tell you about my friends, my partners, and the official ticketing app of this podcast, GameTime. Best ticketing app in America. Honestly, I don't even think it's close. So you guys know the drill. If you want to go to one of these football games, football's here. There's no more excuses anymore. The games are here. We wait all year long, all summer long for football, and it is finally here. So if you want to go to one of those games, obviously baseball, the playoffs right around the corner, any sporting event, obviously concerts, comedy shows, it doesn't get any easier. Best ticketing app I've ever used. I've been saying it forever, and I stand by it. GameTime. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app right now. Create an account and use the code JOHN for $20 off. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code JOHN, John, that's how I spell my name, for $20 off. Download the GameTime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Let's dive into the interview. Fired up because I know a lot of my listeners, basically, I mean, you can't find anyone that follows football that doesn't dabble in fantasy football, and Fantasy Pros is just an absolute juggernaut on the podcast streets, and this is when they make their hay for these next 3 or 4 months, baby. So very, very fired up to have a member of the Volume family, Derek Brown, member of the Fantasy Pros. How you doing, man?
Doing good, brother. It's been a long time since we've hopped on the mics. I think it was like pre-draft process, not last year, but the year before. And so
yeah,
happy to be back on and talking ball with, man. You're one of the sharpest in the space, so glad to be doing this today.
Well, this time of year, there's a lot going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, you guys look at it like I look at it, spend so much time, press conferences, training camp reports, knowing what and what not to balance when it comes to preseason action. I just was looking at your Twitter. It's hard not to get excited when you watch Jaxson Dart play.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But you got to factor in from a fantasy standpoint is like, when is Jaxson Dart going to play? And I was texting with someone the other day. I remember, I don't know if you remember this, but the Raiders, they signed Matt Schaub. And it's like he was going to be the starting quarterback for Dennis Allen. And they drafted Derek Carr in the second round. Now, it was pick 35, so it's a couple, 7-8 spots later in Jaxson Dart. He played so well in the preseason. It was like, what are we doing? And he got to start right away. So we're recording this on August 22nd. I would never say never with this stuff, and you don't, he's not going to have to announce it right for another week and a half. But do you think something like that, how do you approach like Jaxson Dart? Because if you tell me he's a starter, I know their schedule's hard, but why couldn't he throw 25 touchdowns this year, right?
Oh, absolutely. And plus he's going to add the equity with his legs. We saw that in college and in the preseason. So I see the problem is Middlekauff is like looking at their schedule. It's like, where's the easy spot where you lean him in? And then they don't have a bye week until week 14. So it's like, if you're going to toss the guy in, you're probably just going to have to toss him into the deep end. Now, I will say, I do think this comes down to two big factors. One, it's going to be how does Russ play? I think he's going to start the year as a starter where we're at right now, because Russ didn't look like he fell on his face. But looking at their schedule, I just keep looking at week 11 versus the Green Bay Packers. Like, it seems like a really good spot to ease Jaxson Dart in. Now, the problem with all of this, and you know this as well as I do, is now that Jaxson Dart played well in the preseason, if Russ doesn't start off great and if this schedule gets the better of the Giants, how fast in that type of media climate do we start hearing all the calls for Jaxson Dart to be playing?
Would never last that long.
Exactly. Yeah. I agree. Because the media is going to go after it immediately as soon as Russ falters at all.
And you look, really, the quarterbacks for the most part over the last couple of years, like Bo Nix immediate starter, Caleb immediate starter, Drake May should have been, but ended up playing 12 games. You know, the Penix things was weird. I would say in most scenarios, a guy with his resume would have been an immediate starter, but they had just given Cousins $90 million.
Yep.
So, it's just, now this is, people like Middlekauff, talk the big time player. So let's just dive in to the most overhyped and most underhyped. And I got an overhyped guy for you, because I've been hearing this name for a couple years. And it's like, I understand he's really talented. I have a buddy here in Arizona that I play golf with that was a high school coach, and there are a lot of blue chip guys come out of here. On his team, he had Mark Andrews. He said by far the best player I saw coaching was Bijan Robinson. It was like he was like an NFL player in high school. He's like, he was incredible. And obviously gets drafted high, and it's like he's going to go potentially number one in a lot of drafts and auctions, get paid. They just lost multiple offensive linemen this week. And I heard someone say this, that Michael Penix in his couple starts at the end wasn't really big on throwing him the ball. And if you watch Michael Penix, he is, he will sling that thing down the field. He's not really, I wouldn't call him check down Charlie. Is Bijan Robinson a little overhyped at this time of year right now, especially when you factor in the current situation with their offensive line injuries?
I don't think he's overhyped in the sense of, again, I think you're splitting hairs when it comes down to fantasy wise, the top 3 to 5 running backs and where we look at all those guys. I think from the volume and the talent aspect, I fully understand all the offensive line stuff and the questions about his pass game involvement, because we know what Penix wants to do. I go back to two things: Bijan, the talent profile, and the volume are going to sustain him regardless. Tyler Algier is going to have his own standalone role. But with Penix, as far as the pass game volume, Darnell Mooney is not 100% probably to start this year. We've gotten no great concrete reports on him from Raheem Morris, and I get it. They don't have to release anything at this time of the year. But we know the two pillars of that offense are going to be Drake London and Bijan Robinson, and that offense is going to run through them. So I think the volume and a talent standpoint, even with the offensive line concerns, I still think he's going to be a top 3 pick, and I get it. He's still my RB1 overall, but I understand if people want to poke holes in it.
The rivalries, the marching bands, the upsets, Saturdays just got way more fun. College football is back, baby. Think you know the game? Put your college football knowledge to the test with DraftKings Sportsbook and turn your picks into big payouts. Live betting during the game, rivalry week odds boosts, and so much more. DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered. Here's the thing. There is no bigger game than Saturday morning. Texas, Ohio State. I understand Arch has never started a big game. Played a couple last year, but never anything like this. Ohio State lost a ton of guys to the draft. I think this Texas team, if Arch lives up to the hype, poised to win an Natty, I'm taking Texas. I know it's at the shoe. I know it's a tough environment. I just think, as Earl Woods used to tell Tiger Woods, let the legend grow. That's what I would tell Arch Manning. Go win this game, cover that spread, money line, let the legend grow. And here's something special for first-timers, new customers. Bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the code John. That's code John for new customers to get $300 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. In partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. Who for you? You have an overhyped guy currently that a lot of people are talking about as one of the top fantasy guys coming in that you're not you're a little lukewarm on at this time?
Man, there's two different guys, and I want to get your thoughts on these guys. And I think they both had very middling, kind of up and down rookie seasons. Marvin Harrison Jr., and this is right in your backyard. Marvin Harrison Jr., I don't know, because in fantasy circles, he's being ranked as like a top 24 wide receiver. Everybody's back all in, and I don't know if it's just the name cachet or what have you, but I'm like, what about this entire situation changed from last year? Like, they didn't have any other receiving talent. Drew Petzing's still calling the offense, and it was back and forth type of usage. Like, it was like almost like they didn't understand the player that they drafted. They were running them on clear routes, a lot of vertical breaking stuff to begin the season that changed throughout the year. But his mismatch with Kyler Murray isn't great either, because Kyler, from the standpoint, I mean, he's basically kind of like dollar store Russ 2.0, doesn't utilize the field, and he's got to get out of the pocket to really utilize the middle of the field. It's like, I don't know what's changed with him. And then Xavier Worthy, like, he didn't really pop last year until the Rashee Rice role was dumped in his lap when Rice was out for the whole season. His separation metrics are not great. Like, yes, Rice is going to miss time, but there's nothing analytically that I can point to outside of, oh, it's Patrick Mahomes, one of his receiving weapons, and he's a second-year wide receiver, and he runs really fast, to get really hyped up about these guys. So, like, I think they're overhyped currently where they're at, where they're going in drafts. But what do you think about them, like, projecting their 20?
We want to start with Worthy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Mahomes has talked about in this training camp of having more of an emphasis of pushing the ball down the field. Obviously, you know, given their situation, he would be the guy he's essentially talking about because of the speed. We have seen Andy deal with players like this. You know, Deshaun was just a better player. I mean, but, you know, Sky Moore was drafted really high, or relatively high, right? Early, mid-second round. It was a blazer, but it could never really worked, right? Or, you know, the guy thought about it like that. So the one thing with the Chiefs, it's been a little hit or miss. I do think that they will figure that out. I mean, they don't have a choice as Travis ages. I mean, they drafted him at the end of the first round. Then they trade up, if I remember correctly, with the Bills, right? They did a little flip to get him. So I again, where you would draft him, it would not shock me. I don't know, from a catch standpoint, is he going to have like 80 catches? But I could see him having 7-8 touchdowns. You know, that's in utilizing him in different schematically. Who's the other guy you said?
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Here's my thing, and I remember a buddy of mine that coaches for wide receivers for an NFL team said, because he thought he was a little overhyped coming out. Not that he was a bad player or whatever, but talking about like some generational talent.
Yep.
He's like, he is going to go up against, which he did not in the Big Ten, most weeks or a decent amount of times, a Pro Bowl level corner, because he's going to be their number one guy. And that guy is going to be late 20s, maybe married with multiple kids, with a big-ass house and making a ton of money, and that guy's a badass. And Marvin in the Big Ten, it's not the SEC in terms of the defensive secondary personnel, wasn't really tested like that. And even his dad said, because I remember watching an interview with Marvin Sr. and Marvin Jr., he said, the difference between me and my son is when I'm not getting the ball, I am lighting the OC and Peyton up. And like, that's my personality. I'm aggressive. And he's like, my son just is quiet. And that was the wide receivers coach's point, is like, that's not really his personality. Like a Jamar Chase, like a Justin Jefferson, just like some of the great Debo Samuel, like, give me the rock. It's not really his thing.
Malik Neighbors has been, because he's been out there
100%.
chirping too. He gets ticked off. He doesn't get the volume.
I think most people, Marvin was safe. And I remember had a personnel guy tell me the reason that before that draft, the reason he would take Marvin over Malik's just a little bit of a wild card, but the talent, like, it wasn't the same. Marvin's a great route runner. He's got a lot like his dad, right? But then he comes in this offseason. Now he's all jacked. He's added a bunch of muscle. I'm with you. I think, again, he's a good player. I do think the hype, because of the name, obviously he was drafted really high. Now, he was going to get drafted in any draft in the top 15-ish. But when you go, like, what do you go, 4? People just expect to see, you know, Jamar Chase, Julio Jones. And it's just, that's more Malik Neighbors from a talent standpoint, right? And Kyler's not Phillip Rivers or, you know, Peyton Manning. He's not going to pick you apart like that. It's really more of just kind of gunsling and run around. I'm out on the Cardinals.
Same.
Just as a team.
Same. And
especially offensively because of him. Now, Trey McBride, he's going to get his numbers. But if you put Trey McBride, like, you put him on the Chiefs or something, he's going to catch 120 passes.
Dude.
right?
Yep.
They do have some talent, and that's, Kyler's an interesting fantasy guy because I was listening to something and he's had over when he's healthy, like he has productive seasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because he throws some touchdowns, he runs around, but it's like he's actually an interesting fantasy player, but he's not he's good, I guess, but he's not like a winning NFL player, I would say. Where Jalen Hurts, for example, I mean, he's got to be one of the better fantasy quarterbacks currently, right?
Oh, absolutely. Jalen Hurts is top 5 in pretty much any aspect or rankings that you'll find. And I agree with you on Kyler. And just the thing with, and I want to clarify, yes, I'm absolutely all in on Trey McBride. I'll draft James Conner where he goes in fantasy circles. But the other parts of that offense, like Marvin Harrison Jr., Kyler, people can miss me with them. It's just, I think Kyler is who we know who he is at this point of his career. He'll have the spike weeks when the matchups are there, but the volatility week to week is just absolutely maddening. And then a lot of that comes down to just how he plays quarterback, man. Like, it's just not consistent. Yeah. He's not running the offense on a consistent basis, getting 1 to 2 to 3, utilizing the middle of the field. So it's just too volatile for me.
I got an underhyped guy because I like Seattle this year. I think they're going to be pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
And obviously, Jackson Smith is a guy, maybe that's who, think I was going to say, but I'm not. I mean, I think he's an excellent player. He's going to have a big year. He's going to have a great career. Mm-hmm. But I don't think anyone's really talking about Cooper Kupp, who I think sometimes you see wide receivers, little older guys that have been banged up a little bit. I mean, this happens in the NFL at any position. A former All-Pro, former whatever, has a weird year, a couple weird years because of injuries, and then still has like one more like swan song, maybe a couple years with someone else. The Ravens have made a living off these type guys over the years. Mm-hmm. But Cooper Kupp, I think if you just polled the average guy, like, what was his season like? You'd be like, he caught like 25 balls last year. Caught 67, had 67 catches and 6 touchdowns. We know Sam Darnold likes to sling that thing around. We saw him last year. And the offense, which is Kubiak, which is a Shanahan thing, which, McVay runs a little bit different, but still has a lot of the same things. Like, if he stays healthy, who's to say that Cooper Kupp couldn't have 75, 80 catches and 7 to 9 touchdowns? I mean, I just think no one's talking about him. If you like Seattle, which I think they're going to be good this year, I would expect Cooper Kupp, because Jackson Smith is no-brainer, right? But if you think Sam Darnold is going to continue just to play solid, he's a pretty interesting fantasy guy that you wouldn't have to spend much money on, or you could draft really late.
I don't disagree at all. And I was really surprised when I got deep into my write-ups this offseason how good he was on a per route basis. It just comes back down to the health, man. Like, can he stay healthy? If he can stay healthy, I mean, everything he put up on the field last year, he still has the juice. I mean, like, his per route metrics were still fantastic, 2.1 yards per route run. And the thing that opened my eyes, Middlekauff, was it wasn't just the per route analytics. It was the fact that if you go deeper, agnostic of quarterback play, this guy was actually in separation and route win rate metrics even better as a boundary wide receiver than he was from the slot last year. So what that tells me is, like, if he's healthy, he's still got the juice, where he was top 24 in separation and route win rate as a boundary wide receiver last year, which I'm kind of curious, how much do you think he plays on the outside this year? Because I think Seattle's going to run a lot of 12, maybe some 21 personnel, more condensed formations with Kubiak there now. Elijah Arroyo, AJ Barner. Do you think they're going to run a lot of 12 and 21 this year? Like, do you think Kupp like 50-50 slot outside?
Haven't there been, I've read some reports, like they've been moving Jackson around a little bit.
They have.
Right? Because I think when he came out, people were like, he's just going to be the next elite slot receiver. Like, I think they think he's good enough. Like, he's going to be the total package. Kind of like, I mean, Cooper Kupp can do everything. They're kind of similar. He will ideally want to become a Cooper Kupp-like player, can do it all, rely on in big games. I think wouldn't shock me at all. I mean, they're going to want to run the ball. Wasn't that a big issue they had with Ryan Grubb, as he can be a little pass happy and didn't run the ball? Now, can Kenneth Walker stay healthy? Charbonnet's had a pretty good. They got some interesting guys from a fantasy perspective. If their offense is good, they have a lot of guys that can be pretty productive, right? Charbonnet could be a big physical goal line back, and man, they might just give him the ball no matter what. I love Kenneth Walker. Can he stay healthy? I think both these two wide receivers. Who are their tight ends?
AJ Barner and Elijah Arroyo. So yeah. I think Barner's going to be your inline guy. Arroyo is going to be your slot guy. They're going to play mismatches, probably get him down the seam with as athletic as he is. Even though we didn't get testing metrics, I mean, Dude, I saw that guy just absolutely like eviscerate corners, linebackers, everybody. Like you can all like I could walking away from Senior Bowl in Mobile last year, this past season, he arguably had like one of the most impressive weeks out of anybody down there. Like nobody could guard him.
You want to rep your team's logo and not rock a jersey? Swim trunks, gym ready mesh shorts, polos. Well, I got you covered. Chubbies. They have a great NFL collection, every team. So for a limited time, use our exclusive code 3andOut for $10 off at chubbysshorts.com/3andOut. Yes, that includes the NFL collection. Let the thighs out and the good times roll. Chubby is the ultimate football apparel brand, so much so they created their own fantasy football league. George Kittle, Ian Rappaport, and others have come together to assemble the Chubbies League on NFL Fantasy. Each week, the top 5 scorers will win a chance at a Chubbies Polo Shorts combo with their team's logo. And the champion gets the chance at the ultimate fan experience. 5-city, 5-stadium NFL tour with a +1. While the fantasy flop faced a hilarious and unforgettable punishment only Chubbies could pull off. Head to chubbysshorts.com/Chubbies League to learn more and have some fun. Get ready for the most outrageous fantasy football season of your life. And would you look at this, folks? For a limited time, our friends at Chubbies are giving our listeners $10 with the promo code #3andOut at chubbysshorts.com/3andOut. That's $10 off your first order with the promo code 3andOut that includes the NFL collection. Support our show and tell them we sent you. I've said this forever. If their head coach, instead of being a defensive guru, was a Shanahan guy or an Andy Reid guy, we'd be talking about this team a lot differently.
Agreed.
But we just discriminate against defensive guys, and we all agree, like, this guy is pretty freaking sharp defensive mind. And you just – their talent on their team is – now, their tackle position, offensive line-wise, Sam, Kenny, was that a one-year wonder situation? The situation was perfect. But I think this situation's pretty good. Also the carryover of understanding to going from Kyle to O'Connell to then Kubiak, who was with him with Kyle. It's a pretty easy landing spot for him, kind of his breakout year. Then he goes to get paid. It's not like he's just going to randoms, right?
Yep. And I agree with you too. And I don't think a lot of people off the top of their heads could tell you Seattle won 10 games last year. And this team, I mean, if Darnold can be solid,
they've won 27 the last 3. I think
Agreed.
People think they've just kind of sucked. Like they have.
Agreed.
Pete Carroll got fired or quit or whatever happened. They were not a 3-win team. He won 9 that year.
Well, and the other thing, like, where do you put their defense? I think their defense is going to take a huge step. Like, they're probably going to be a top 7, top 10 at least unit this year. Like,
how many good DBs do they have? A ton.
A ton. And they added Eamon Wari in the draft. Like, when he hits the ground running, if all those physical tools, like, I know he's a little bit rough around the edges, but he hits the ground running in this system. Like, you're talking about a guy that could step up and maybe, like, back half of this season, he's their Kyle Hamilton, like their mismatch, like chess piece.
Yeah.
That defense is going to be nasty.
Well, because Leonard Williams is probably one of the more least talked about, like really, really high end guys. He's kind of turned into like probably similar age, but like a Buckner. Like no one just they're not the sexiest players, but they're just really, really good. And speaking of that division, McCaffrey, who when he's healthy is probably one of the greatest fantasy players of all time, right? Especially with Kyle. I think it's like a match made in heaven. But last year I kept saying like everyone's overblowing this. He'll be fine. He'll be fine. And then I thought he was fine. And then was it like Friday? He got soreness, and then he ended up not playing Sunday, and then the rest is history.
And the rest is history.
He's an interesting guy. Now, he's been healthy. And like him and Kittle, obviously they're going to have to rely on. I still think their offense is going to be okay. They have some wide receiver issues, but to me, that would even add to like him and Kittle. Just if you tell me those guys are healthy this season, Kittle I feel pretty good about, but McCaffrey, I just don't see how they don't have both of them don't have massive seasons.
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly, and I want to get your thoughts on Ricky Pearsall, because I think like last year was same. I'm all in on him this year. Like I keep bumping him higher and higher in my ranks. I just watched all of his all 22 from the preseason this past Sunday, and you can see on the preseason, and I know it's a limited sample, but you could see with the chemistry between him and Purdy, like he was running a crosser through zone. I think it was week 2 of the preseason. And
instead of Raiders.
And instead of him getting washed out in the zone coverage, he stops and he sits down in the zone coverage. And I'm like, that's it, baby. That's pointing to chemistry. That's reps in the offseason, making it to the field. So I'm over the moon with Pearsall this year.
I think the worry with him is, separate him getting shot, even though I think they just traded for Brian Robinson, who was also shot. So they got the all shot team right now. They got, which is why they like them. I mean, those guys are both, Ricky's a tough guy.
They're
But
dog.
physically, like he's had some hamstring issues. He had a, shoulder issue that I was listening to some of my guys do a local podcast that there was a practice the other day and he fell on it and he was like grimacing. Now he didn't like leave practice or anything, but it's just when he plays 17 games, that'll be a first, So we got that would be my worry. If you tell me he's healthy, Purdy's him and Kittle would just go nuts in the passing game. Those two guys, especially who knows what Ayuk's going to be. But, now you could argue most of these wide receivers just around the league, a lot of them get dinged up a lot, the high-end guys. I mean, the Eagles, both their guys get banged up. We got Malik Neighbors, he's banged up. Jamar Chase, somewhat of an outlier, fully healthy last year, right? Jefferson's been banged up. So it's one of those positions that, like, if I tell you all these guys that I just listed play all the time, CeeDee Lamb, they'll put up huge numbers. But at any moment, these guys, they're like, I don't know, sports cars that you get a ding on it. You got to go in. And all of a sudden, it's a 10 grand to like fill in like a little putty on the side of the Ferrari. And there are a lot of them. I mean, the league is loaded with wide receivers, but like, is there a guy from a value? Because we all know the sexy big names, but is there a guy that in the top 10-ish that's like, I wasn't really thinking about him? Because I think Ayuk a couple years ago became that guy, right? He had a big season. Is there a guy that there's not Chase or CeeDee Lamb that you're like, I like that dude?
Man, I keep going back, and we'll circle back to the Falcons. I think this is the monster Drake London season incoming. I think everything's lining up for him. He's like really hit his stride last year with Robinson throwing him inside, giving him more easy design looks, a little more slot work, him stepping forward as the clear guy out of this Arthur Smith nonsense over the last few years. And if Penix can be the guy that we think he can be collectively, the other thing that I think gives Drake London, it's not only the volume, it's not only the fact that he's going to be a centerpiece of the offense, we're going to get downfield usage. And we haven't seen that over the last few years because of the quarterback play last year being limiting, and in previous years, we're going to get some Drake like back shoulder bombs down the field from Michael Penix. And I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I think he's going to step into some rarefied air. He might lead the NFL in targets this year.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we'll find out. We can talk about the Bears, like with Ben Johnson going there, is their arrow pointing up, and with the Lions, is their arrow pointing down. But I was thinking about this. I saw, what was it, second preseason game where Rome had a bad drop, and I was like, I liked Rome a lot, but is there a chance like he was actually overrated and it was like Penix?
Maybe.
It was like the reverse of Mike Evans and Johnny Manziel, where Mike Evans kind of made Johnny. Did Penix kind of make Rome? Because I'm watching Rome like, God, I thought this guy was really good. And I don't know. I'm rooting for him. I'm a fan, but he makes me a little nervous.
He makes me a little nervous too. And I've been largely below consensus compared to a lot of other people in the fantasy space on the Bears offense. Like, I get the Ben Johnson steam. I understand it, but I have my own standalone concerns about Caleb Williams. We haven't seen him support even one high-end weapon. I understand the problems of that offense and all the stuff about Shane Waldron and stuff. Like, I still don't think enough people lay things at Caleb Williams' feet last year for how rough his rookie season went. And they're just expecting Ben Johnson to come in here. And I'm like, I think Caleb can have a solid season if he can just run the freaking offense. And if he does that, he can have a solid season. But if he does, he might not live up to the hype where people walk away from this year and say, well, Caleb took a step forward, but it still didn't meet my expectations. And I'm with you on Rome. Like, I can't point to an analytical reason to really believe in Rome Odunze. And I loved him as a prospect. But again, like, once you hit the NFL, maybe our preconceptions or how we viewed as a prospect needs to change a little bit whenever these guys are running against NFL competition.
I agree. And if Rome, I mean, he was drafted, what, 9th or 10th? 9th, I think.
High in the first round.
I mean, the expectations when you're drafted in the first round alone, like, it's like, I say this about Ricky Pearsall, like, he was a first round pick. I know it was the end of the first round, or Xavier Worthy. That's a big pick for these teams that were just in the Super Bowl. That's their first asset in the draft. When you are a top 10, 12 pick at wide receiver, the expectation is for you to be a Pro Bowl level guy. And, we might look back. It's like Marvin's got some issues. Rome's got some issue. Malik Neighbors in a different universe than those guys, which, it was kind of, I mean, some people were saying that. And I think a lot of people pushed back. But the Lions, there's no disputing Ben is really freaking good. And like you said, the Caleb, he's got a little Russell Deshaun Watson to his game, and that's not how Ben Johnson became a star with Jared Goff, who can't move more than me or you. So it's like, that's why you look at the Lions, you're like, are they just so good, even with Johnny Morton, who's kind of got a weird career trajectory? Like all these coaches in the league, Gruden, Sean Payton, Dan Campbell, they love the guy. It's like, well, in this day and age, it's pretty hard not to become a pretty sweet offensive coordinator and get these jobs all the time. It's like he's never getting these jobs. So I get Dan Campbell has known him for a while and makes him the offensive coordinator, but I don't know. I mean, it's just, there is something to be said about some people are just better play callers, regardless of the players, right? You just have an innate feel. If you're Kevin O'Connell, Kyle McVay, Sean Payton, Andy Reid, we see a lot of these guys are like, I don't know. It's not even as much about the players. He has no feel for the game. And that's what I always get worried about whenever you make a big coordinator change. You don't have a guy that, we've seen it with the Eagles, right? I mean, when it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it's bad.
Yep. Yeah, I don't disagree about Morton at all. I mean, I think it was.
I just don't even know. I don't even know where I come down. I don't really even have a strong take.
I think it was more of a familiarity, because if you trace all like Morton and Campbell's winding road through the NFL, both of them come from that Sean Payton tree. Both of them were on the same staff in New Orleans. And I think part of it was that. So the familiarity, there's a relationship there. I'm a little bit higher on the Lions in that transition. Now, I understand like Ragnow getting hurt, some of the other parts of pieces, like Zeitler's gone to the O-line, people have questions about. Now, the Lions have done a good job of like, with their draft picks, kind of insulating themselves from some of these things, but still change is change. And especially O-line continuity is huge when you do have a statue type of quarterback. He ain't moving off the spot. He's not creating a ton off schedule. He needs that offensive line to make that wall for him. I am a little bit higher on the Lions, or I'm not projecting as much regression as some people, not everybody, not because of Ben Johnson and not giving him his flowers and respect, but I also go back to like Dan Campbell is an offensive minded head coach. And I think because of the rub some dirt on it, that kind of gets lost in the conversation sometimes of like his background as a tight end, offensive assistant and stuff like that. Now he's not calling the plays. And I think that questions about Morton are very fair, and it's a reason to be concerned. But with all these players, like the talent levels of all of them, like you really got to screw this up like big time, I think, to like fall in their face. Like they're still going to be a really good offense, but the question is, can they be a top 3 to 5 offense this year with all of the the question circle?
You think they can?
I think it's still in the range of outcomes. I think I comfortably still peg them like top 10, top 5 is going to, their O-line is going to have to produce like it has.
Who's your group top 3 to 5 that you feel pretty confident moving forward
as far as NFL offenses?
Yeah. Because to me, that's how I kind of gauge it. Your offense is sweet. I'm just interested in your players. If you got Josh Allen playing 17 games, you're going to have some guys putting up some big stats. You got Lamar Jackson, obviously Joe Burrow. Those are the 3 we're kind of drawn to. If we just remove the Lions, even if they just take a slight step back, like, because the Chiefs haven't been there, right? Even though they've been one of the best teams. The 49ers statistically last year were really good. They just struggled to score points, which obviously is a problem in fantasy. But I mean, the
Philly's still in there.
Is a pretty big question mark.
Yep. Philly's still in that conversation for top 5. Definitely. Depending on what we get out of, the Lions are definitely in the fringe. You talked about the Vikings. We got questions about JJ. Can he be who I hope he could be, and everybody else? Man, I think, tell me your thoughts on the Broncos, because I think they're a team that really could break into that top 5 conversation this year. If Nick takes that next level, if all the parts or pieces kind of coalesce and stuff, like we're hearing really good reports about Pat Bryant and Troy Franklin and RJ Harvey. Like they've injected a lot of youth and explosiveness. Do you think they can enter that top 5 kind of conversation this year?
And how much easier is to play offense when your defense is really good?
Dude, their defense is going to be top 5, man. It's going to be so nasty. Like teams are going to, whether it's Surtain or Janae Barron locking dudes down in the nickel, teams are going to be frustrated going a mile high this year.
I think they're going to be really good.
Same.
I think they're going to be, because I think the Chargers are going to come back to earth a little bit.
I think the Broncos win the AFC West. Is that a crazy take?
3-1 right now. 3-1 on DraftKings.
I've already bet it. I've already bet it, baby.
It was actually higher, and it's kind of come down to Sean, like to start the training camp. And Sean Payton's basically just saying, like, I've been coaching for 25 years. I've been around 6 teams. This is one of them that I think can win it all. And I don't think, if you watch the Cowboys documentary, Jimmy would just talk sometimes to kind of. I think Sean Payton truly believes it.
Same.
He's not.
Same.
He is not bullshitting. He loves Bo Nix. He loves this team. He likes the group. I mean, if you watched them last year, I mean, you could just kind of see it coming. They just needed to add a couple more pieces. But team speed-wise, their defense is fast and physical. Their pass rush is excellent. Their DBs are good. What's the dude they just drafted from Texas in the first round? I saw him make a couple plays in preseason. I'm like, and like you said, offensively, now is he overhyping the running back a little bit from UCF?
I don't think so.
He loves him. I mean,
I was a big RJ Harvey stan. Pre-draft, I had him inside of my top 5 RBs, so I was in on it. I think a lot of people were pushed off because of the age and the ACL history and stuff. But skill set wise, he checks a ton of boxes, man. Like he's got some high end pass game reps. If you go back in his collegiate history and stuff, I think he can definitely play in the pass game. Pass pro is probably the biggest worry with him. But Peyton's even come out and said, like, look, like, I think it's one of the reasons why they added Dobbins. I think it's going to be Harvey on especially like first and second down, and Dobbins coming in on third down. So like Harvey's going to run his routes on those early downs. But I'm in on Harvey. I definitely love him.
What's your thoughts on the Texans? Because, I mean, defensively, they're going to be really good. Offensively, you make the offensive coordinator change. CJ, I would say, relative to his rookie, obviously had a rough year. Nico's an absolute monster. If he's healthy, Tank's career is probably in some jeopardy after the devastating. I mean, it's hard to even think about watching him land on the ground because he was a stud. But, last year I thought I picked them to be the 1 seed. I had a little juice on them, like 8-1. I might have been a year early because I think their defense is going to dominate. And then offensively, if they're just solid, if you look at that division, could they be a CJ guy throwing 35 touchdowns this year?
I think you were a year early. I think we were all a year early. I absolutely agree with everything you outlined there. And I think like their defense is going to be a top 5 unit this year. I mean, they are just stacked everywhere you look. Lassiter hitting the ground running last year was a big, big win for them where they got him in the draft. Adding a few more parts and pieces of that secondary. Their pass rush is nasty. I've got a few tickets on Will Anderson for Defensive Player of the Year, so I'm in on him taking another step forward this year. But what
do you got that at?
Oh God, man, I think I got it like
20, 50 to 1.
Yeah, it was really good odds, really good odds. Like if I could double it down, I'd press the button even right now. So anybody listening to this, head to the books, press it now, man, because he's a guy like if everything coalesces, like we're talking about high end sack numbers, like could post some outrageous sack numbers considering all the other D-line talent there, but. The offense is where it all comes down to. Like that's the ceiling element of this team. Could CJ bounce back? And really, everybody, the first thing out of their mouth is going to be their offensive line. And I just want their offensive line to be league average. And I think that's possible. I'm not saying like I love the parts or pieces, but Middlekauff, we also lived in a world last year where a lot of these same dudes were on this depth chart last year, and everybody wasn't worried about their offensive line until they cratered. So like, adding these parts or pieces to it, I think they're just looking at this as like a sum of the parts. And if they can play better as like a unit and the continuity is there, then if we get league average play with the other, again, this is a team that added a bunch of firepower as far as through the passing game. Like I love Jaden Higgins as a prospect. Jalen Knoll was my guy throughout the entirety of the draft process. And so you have insulation there if Kurt goes down. Like, I think they're ready to roll on offense. They just need the blocking up front just to be average.
I think a lot of people place the blame, clearly on the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Is he just did not do a good job, and then it kind of unraveled, and they lost their confidence or whatever, and it just started looking worse and worse as the season went on, that they think the cohesion, play calling, let's face it, you can make, McVay and Kyle Shanahan haven't exactly had like the mid-90s Cowboys offensive lines over the years, right? So you can scheme around, like, to me, you can't, it's hard to scheme like sweet pass rushers. You either got Will Anderson or Nick Bosa or Aiden Hutchinson. You could scheme around some random offensive linemen, but you can also, those guys can expose you fast. I want to get you out of here. I got 2 teams that I think are huge swing teams.
Ooh, let's
the
go.
Colts. If you tell me they went 10-7 and Daniel Jones resurrects his career, I'd be like, I bet Tyler Warren, Jonathan Taylor, hell, even Daniel Jones probably has pretty good fantasy year.
Yep.
If you tell me they could win 6-7 games, I'd be like, I'd stay away from that group.
Yep.
Same thing with the Rams, which is obviously predicated on a guy's back. So it's a little bit, we know Stafford, when he's on the field, is going to be good. But if you tell me, Stafford's back, he played 4 games. It's like, I'm Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, I'm sorry, I'm out on that situation.
Yeah.
It's Stetson Bennett too. Like, I'm just no chance. And I
Yep.
love McVay, but let's start with the Colts. Your thoughts on their situation? We're sitting here. By the time I put this out on Monday, I think Anthony Richardson gets traded before the season because I don't think you can have.
I do too.
You just can't. It's just the
There's no going
dynamics.
back. There's no going back. You benched the guy, and now you picked a journeyman starter over him, and it's like
it's over,
dude. It's like I don't. I'm not saying the vibes have been good, like about his dedication and work and some of the things you can kind of read through the tea leaves, but it's like also it's like, did you not understand who you were drafting? Like a guy that didn't have a lot of starts, a lot of reps and stuff. He needed that time to grow, and then the injuries and stuff. And then it's like, we're worried about our jobs. And then the suboptimal decision-making comes in where it's like, now we're coaching for our jobs and stuff. And we're basing our hope on Daniel Jones. Like,
I think a lot of times when this stuff happens, because I when I was living in the Bay, I saw it with Trey Lance.
Yep.
I think back in the day, like the 80s or the 90s, like if Ditka were to do this or Parcells, like, the locker room has no influence. I think nowadays, I bet the players are telling Shane, like,
could be
they're because you don't hear a peep when all the Trey Lance stuff happened with Purdy. They all were like, it's different because I mean they truly believed in Purdy. I don't know if they believe in Daniel Jones, Trent Williams, Fred Warner, Deebo Samuel. They were all on board. They wanted it.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
In this situation, I just think that I wonder if a lot of players internally kind of gave up on him last year during that situation when he tapped out. And it's like, is Shane Steichen just going rogue? Like they're like on the fence. We'll go with either guy. I think there are locker room dynamics more than ever in the modern day pro sports. And you kind of listen to your star players and they're cool with it. I'm with you. Like big picture, you should have known. But the problem is when a guy's always injured, it's impossible to develop.
Yeah, it's tough.
And now we're year 3 and we think we have like a playoff level roster. It's like, what are we going to do? It's just he should have gone to a really crappy, shitty team, right?
Yep, agreed.
It's easy to keep Jacksonville or Arizona. You just keep rolling out. When you think you're a playoff team, it's hard to do this year in, year out.
I don't disagree with you. And it's tough when the guy gets hurt and then he can't get the reps even you forecasted or wanted for him. But like, if Daniel Jones can just be a league average quarterback, like, and Shane Steichen can just scheme around him with all the parts or pieces, like, this team could win 10, 11 games this year because I think their defense could take a step forward too. Like changing over DCs, you have a lot of young guys there, especially in their D line that could take another step forward this year. And if that happens, yeah, we're talking about they're literally the entire rest of this roster is carrying Daniel Jones to 10 or 11 wins. I wouldn't be shocked with that. I also wouldn't be shocked if Daniel Jones just like implodes and he's, Blake Bortles 2.0 and this team looks rough and everything goes sideways and Ballard and Steichen are gone by, the back half of the season. I think there's a wide range of outcomes for the Colts just in general.
Well, if I gave him like Jared Goff or Brock Purdy on the Colts for starting quarterback,
dude,
you would like that
12,
roster.
12 wins. 12 wins.
Yeah.
12 wins.
I'd say the same thing about probably the Arizona Cardinals. If I gave them like a consistent quarterback, I think they'd be pretty good.
I agree.
The Rams, to me, they're a little more like an NBA team that's been top heavy. Now they're getting better. They've drafted really well the last couple of years, so they've had the youth movement. But like when Stafford's on, they become a really, really good team. And when he's off, I mean, people sometimes talk about the Rams. I've been saying this for like a month. Like they were then some 12 and 13 win juggernaut these last couple of years. Like they've won 10 games. Yep. I mean, Seattle had the same record as them. It's just Sam Darnold, threw that touchdown in the corner of the end zone late in the season and ended their playoff hopes. But I mean, if that guy drops it or Sam trips, Seattle wins the division. So I think the Rams are a massive wild card. If you tell me Stafford plays 17 games in the back, no big deal. It's like, okay, Puka's going to get 100 catches. 15 touchdowns. If you tell me Jimmy Garoppolo starts 12, it's like, this could get weird.
It really could. And Stafford is the linchpin. Like everything, that team is going to go where the quarterback play goes. And yes, I mean, like, dude, like if Jimmy G makes starts, then it's also like, do we go back to the Devontae Adams, like cussing him out on the sideline by throwing hospital balls? Like that's firmly in play too. But if Stafford's healthy, and I think there's the two big question marks from that team and the range of outcomes is Stafford's health. And back injuries just scare the ever-loving bejesus out of me, man. Like where it's like, you got an epidural, you're like feeling okay enough to practice. How are you feeling at week 6 when the hits start piling up? And aged body and that back starts barking at you, and it's hard to even get out of bed when it comes
week
to
6,
Tuesday
bro.
morning.
They open with Houston. I mean, what if he gets leveled in that game?
I mean, if you're D'Amico Ryans, you're just going to blitz the ever-loving crap out of them and say, okay, O-line, hope you can hold up because we're bringing the heat, baby. But yes, like, this is an 11 or 12 win team. If Stafford is healthy and the secondary can hold up, because you got a huge question marks there. Can Akello Witherspoon? He's awesome when he's on the field. His entire career he's been unable to stay healthy. So it's like, they're another wide range of outcomes. Like, I have some NFC West.
Do you have any Jimmy G belief?
Oof. I mean, enough to run the offense, but like he's a floor pick. Like, you're just hoping like he doesn't get any of your wide receivers just absolutely decapitated over the middle if he's playing, and you probably go run heavy, and that's what we see, like them lean on their run game, and it goes like conservative, but. I'll kind of tie some things together here, Middlekauff, before we wrap all this up. Like, do you think the Rams, there's a non-zero chance? Like, could they trade for Anthony Richardson, seeing as we're talking about a trade?
Yeah, to me, I think Anthony Richardson is in play for all the good, sweet offensive coaches.
Agreed.
Like, John Payton would not be interested because he's got a young quarterback, but Andy Reid, obviously Sean McVay, the Bills wouldn't fit that model. The Ravens with Lamar, it's like Anthony Richardson's a backup now, so you don't even need to worry about him. Like, you're just on the side grinding with you. Yeah, I think 100%. Now, he's a value. Like, can I get you for like a 5th or 6th rounder? Like, I don't see any of these teams giving up anything, because when you were the 4th pick, you do make some money as well. But the first 2 names that came to my mind were Andy Reid and Sean McVay, because we're not even worried about you playing, and I just. When we got a little downtime during the week, we're working with you on the side. We're just kind of messing with you. But I do think financially, the more and more I've thought about it, it's a little complicated, because when you're the 4th overall pick, it's it's like $7, $8, $9 million. What's he in year 3 now? It gets a little higher as it's not like he's the 20, like Jaxson Dart's contract and his contract are dramatically different.
Agreed.
Right? It's like what we saw with Jerry Jones. I also think people look back at Jerry Jones trading for Trey Lance a 4th. It's like, God, that was a lot, because that was a mistake.
That's a lot of Jerry trades. Worse. He just spins those forts like they're going out of business, like for Trey Lance.
So to me, what's the value on Anthony Richardson? Like, could they even get a 5th? I mean, that's
5th or like a pick swap, like Richardson and a pick swap for a 5th. I mean, that kind of feels about right.
Yeah. Or maybe again, I got a guy that I'm going to cut that you want. I trade you a player.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Like, he wouldn't go. And listen, people are like, well, the Colts missed. It's over. So you just have to remove them. There's no value coming back. You drafted him 4th overall. It failed. There is no value there.
Yeah, you're not getting the equity back on that.
No. So I could see definitely Sean McVay and Andy Reid were the 2 guys that I thought of. But I guess the Ravens, from a scheme standpoint, maybe because a lot of people liked him coming out, right?
Yeah.
But like you said, we sometimes we have enough evidence, like we can't just view what we viewed whenever the guy was drafted 3 years later. Like, a lot's changed.
Yep.
So yeah. Well, enjoy all your drafts, all your everything going on, and enjoy the season, man. And we'll definitely be in touch. You guys keep crushing, man, because I was with Coward the other day, and I've heard about you guys and years before you even came on. You guys do some big numbies on that podcast. So congrats, and keep it rolling.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate the time talking ball. I mean, you're one of the sharpest in the business. Anytime we have a chance to sit here and hop on the mics and talk football, it's a good day.
Talk soon, bro. Enjoy the weekend.
Appreciate you.